Boracay tourist murder, Slovak woman Michaela Mickova, rape slay case, abandoned chapel in Balabag, brutal crime in Philippine paradise. These aren't just keywords. They're the chilling fragments of a true story that has left both locals and international observers stunned, horrified, and full of questions. In March 2025, one of the Philippines' most iconic travel destinations, Boracay, known for its pristine beaches and vibrant nightlife, became the backdrop for an unthinkable act of violence. A 23-year-old Slovak tourist, Michaela Mickova, arrived on the island alone, expecting to celebrate a friend's wedding and explore the beauty of Southeast Asia. Instead, she vanished, only to be found days later, lifeless, her body dumped inside a long-abandoned chapel, bearing signs of sexual assault and blunt force trauma. The brutality of the crime would ignite a nationwide investigation, drag 3 local suspects into the spotlight, and shake the very foundations of Boracay's tourist-driven economy. But despite confessions, DNA tests, and mounting media pressure, the truth remains entangled in a web of conflicting statements, missing evidence, and haunting silence. What really happened that night? Who could be trusted? And how did paradise become the scene of such horror? This is not just a crime story, it's a wake-up call. It's a tragic descent into the underbelly of an island that millions view as a dream escape. For Michaela Mickova, it became a nightmare with no justice yet served. If you're drawn to true crime that doesn't just report, but demands answers, subscribe to the channel now. Follow the full investigation. Stay updated on the case developments, and never miss a story that needs to be told. The air was warm and heavy with salt as Michaela Mickova stepped onto the powdery white sands of Boracay in early March 2025. The island, often hailed as a tropical paradise, was her destination of choice for a wedding celebration. A 23-year-old Slovak tourist, Michaela had traveled alone to the Philippines after her Egyptian boyfriend was denied a visa. But what was meant to be a joyful getaway in a postcard-perfect paradise would become a haunting tragedy that would ripple through the community and beyond. She was last seen alive on March 10th. Known for her adventurous nature, Michaela often ventured off the beaten path, eager to discover the hidden corners of the island. That evening, she crossed paths with a group of young men near a local hotel. Surveillance footage and witness accounts confirmed that she had interacted with them. What seemed like a casual, perhaps even friendly, encounter turned sinister. 2 days later, on March 12th, the decomposing body of Michaela Mickova was discovered inside an abandoned chapel in Barangay Balabag. The scene was grim. She lay on her back, upper clothing in disarray, lower garments missing. Her shoes remained on her feet, and a belt bag containing personal items, lotion, headphones, was found nearby. Her phone and wallet were gone. The autopsy was harrowing. Michaela had sustained blunt force trauma to the head and bore signs of sexual assault. Her body showed multiple bruises and abrasions, suggesting a violent struggle. Authorities launched an intense investigation. The island's image as a safe haven for international tourists was now under threat. Police detained 3 suspects, one of whom, a man known only by the alias Mick, had been arrested during a drug bust on March 14th. During interrogation, Mick made a chilling confession. He admitted to being at the scene and identified 2 friends, Jello and JR, as the primary perpetrators. According to Mick's statement, the trio had approached Michaela and led her to the abandoned chapel. Initially, there was no resistance, he claimed. But once there, Michaela tried to leave. In a disturbing turn, JR allegedly struck her on the back of the head with a piece of wood. She collapsed. Mick said he fled the scene, panicked, while the others remained behind. But Mick's confession only deepened the mystery. DNA samples taken from Michaela's fingernails did not match Mick or Jello. No semen was recovered due to the decomposition of the body, further complicating the forensic investigation. Investigators turned their attention to the 3rd suspect, JR, but without definitive evidence, no formal charges were immediately filed. What role did Mick truly play? Was he a reluctant witness or a participant minimizing his guilt? Why did he remain silent for days before confessing? The gaps in the story raise more questions than answers. Was this a spontaneous act of violence or something premeditated? How could 3 men lure a tourist in broad daylight without raising alarms? Why was the chapel, a known derelict site, not more closely monitored by local authorities. And perhaps the most haunting question of all, could Michaela have been saved? The reaction from the local and international community was swift. Outrage poured in from Michaela's home country, and Boracay's tourism industry braced for impact. Ackland Representative Teodorico Horesco Jr. offered a 100,000 Cuban pesos reward for information leading to arrests. Authorities moved quickly to reassure the public, deploying a 22-member anti-vice unit specifically tasked with monitoring illegal drugs and prostitution. Brigadier General Jack Wanke, regional police chief, called the incident a wake-up call, stressing the need for heightened vigilance and law enforcement presence. In the face of international scrutiny, local officials insisted that Boracay remain safe, yet the facts were impossible to ignore. A young woman had been brutally attacked and killed, her body left to decay in a place once meant for worship. Her family and friends were left to mourn thousands of miles away, with justice hanging in the balance. A candlelight vigil was held in her memory, attended by locals and tourists alike. The abandoned chapel, once forgotten ruin, had become a symbol of collective grief and unanswered questions. As days turned to weeks, pressure mounted on investigators to deliver results. But the truth remained elusive, obscured by conflicting statements, inconclusive forensic evidence, and the island's frantic attempt to recover from the stain on its reputation. For Michaela Mickova, Boracay was meant to be a dream. Instead, it became a grave. Her story is a sobering reminder of the fragility of safety, the lurking dangers behind idyllic facades, and the urgent need for justice in the face of horror. Who killed Michaela Mickova? And will the full truth ever come to light? Michaela Mickova came to Boracay in search of celebration, but found herself entangled in something far darker, something no tourist imagines when stepping off a plane into paradise. Her brutal death, discovered in a place of worship turned scene of horror, has left more questions than answers. A confession was given, suspects named, yet the silence of justice remains deafening. DNA evidence failed to match. Key witnesses hesitated. The third suspect, JR, the man accused of delivering the fatal blow, remains a shadow in this narrative, hovering between guilt and impunity. And as time ticks forward, the trail of truth risks going cold. Who is protecting who? What happened in those final, silent minutes inside the chapel? Why has no one been held accountable? As Boracay rushes to restore its image, Michaela's name risks being lost beneath tourist headlines and empty reassurances. But her story isn't over. Justice is not a souvenir to be shelved. It must be pursued relentlessly. To everyone watching, don't let this case fade. Stay informed. Stay loud. Subscribe now to follow every twist, every new lead, and every voice demanding justice. For Michaela and for the truth still buried in the shadows of Boracay.